Okay, everybody's on. Everybody ready to go? All right, thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Back to the briefing for the Mason County Commission of October 28th. We're going to go ahead and move into community development. Is Kell on? If not, I know we have Luke that's up, so I guess I'll take it from there. Luke, welcome.
Morning. Can you hear me, Randy?
Yes.
Great. All right. So I've got two items this morning to brief you on behalf of the Historic Preservation Commission. So first item is the 2025 Mesa County Heritage Grant Cycle news release. And just as a background, Mesa County Historic Preservation Commission is a 7-member commission which serves to identify and actively encourage the conservation of Mesa County's historic heritage and resources. RCW 36 22170 created a surcharge on documents recorded with the county auditor, $1 of which is dedicated for county historic preservation purposes. The Historic Preservation Commission offers an annual grant program which channels some of these funds to organizations engaged in collection, preservation.
Luke, hold on 1 minute, please. Cammy, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. Go ahead, Luke.
No worries. So funds from that go to collection, preservation, interpretation of the county's historic resources and heritage. So this year, the commission is going into its 22nd Heritage Grant Program cycle, started in 2011. And this upcoming 2025 grant cycle, the Historic Preservation Commission will allow for grants of up to $5,000 to qualified projects and applicants. This is a reimbursement grant, so no public money is spent until contracted grant work is complete. The application due date for each calendar year is the third Friday of January, which is January 17th, 2025 at noon. And what I am asking, or the Historic Preservation Commission is asking, is to read a news release at the November 5th meeting and send that out to communications partners to officially open the 2025 Heritage Grant Cycle.
Thank you, Luke. Now you'll be there to read it for us?
Yes, I will be there to read it to you.
Excellent. Gotcha, Commissioner. Okay. With that being said, what else you got next?
All right. So the next one is to reappoint Jen Goodpaster for a new 3-year term on the Mason County Historic Preservation Commission, beginning December 2024 and ending in November 2027. Currently, the Historic Preservation Commission has 2 positions that expire this coming November 30th, 2020. That should be 2024. I apologize about the typo in there. 2 vacant seats that expire on November 30th of next year, 2025, and 1 vacant seat that expires the following year, November 30th, 2026. One of the terms expiring this year is currently occupied by Jan Goodpaster, who has reapplied for another term. The empty seats are open until filled, and Mason County has received 1 other application for the 2 expiring and 3 vacant positions as well.
Commissioners, we all know her. Are we comfortable with just go ahead and reappointing?
Absolutely.
I am.
As am I. So go ahead and put that forward for the reappointment, and then we'll take the other applications when they come in for interviews.
Sounds good. Yeah. I'll just say attached is our commissioners list, our ordinance, and then Jan's application. So I'll let you folks take it from there, and just note that we issued a news release on September 24th about the open positions.
Excellent. So you'll go ahead and make sure the paperwork gets to Diane so that we can go ahead and move forward with reappointment, correct?
Yep.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have anything for Luke?
Nothing for me. Thanks, Luke.
Thanks, Luke. Have a great one. Is it just me? It's still odd for me to not see Michael McSims do that. Just caught me off guard again. But you got to understand, it's been a lot of years.
Yeah, it's a little odd for me too, being in his exact position in every which way. So I totally get it.
You're doing a great job, though, Luke. Great job.
Well, thank you. Have a good rest of your morning.
You too. Next up, I have Public Health, Dave Windom.
Hey, and good morning, commissioners. We've got 3 quick things. Starting off on the first one is a Department of Agriculture grant coming to us, $27,000 for food distribution. And we've briefed this before. This is the actual contract. Our intent is to get this money contracted and out for Thanksgiving, which would be a great use for it to go out to the food banks. So what we're looking for is an approval to put it on the action agenda for next week.
Okay, commissioners?
I'm good.
Yeah, good with me.
Okay, what else you got, Dave?
Okay, next is Casey Bingham.
Hello, Commissioners.
Morning, Casey.
I am putting forth budget amendments for both public health and the housing fund. The public health amendment is for $426,000, and these are for funding sources that came in during this year, and we only have 2 amendment cycles, so it's been it's being done now before the end of the year. There are 3 revenue sources here that came in that are using. We have the Washington the infrastructure grant, and that grant we're using the fund moving into the new building and an additional office support specialist. And then we're $76,000 in the WIC program that moved to the consolidated contract earlier this year, and that's going to be to support the WIC program. Then we have a drug user health program, which ran out early in the year, but we needed to add to it because of more funding cycles that came through, more funding that came through, and we're expending it. Then we have $100,000 in the CDC COVID, it's public health workforce development, and we're using that to help support WIC and some additional trainings that went on to help people to recover from COVID, the COVID environment anyway.
Casey, if you don't mind, need to stop for a second. I got a question to ask on this. Are you asking for this as a special amendment now that has to be done right away, or are you asking for this to be included in our budget update that we're going to be doing shortly?
In the budget, I sent this to Jennifer too, and this isn't for immediate, it's for the end of the year, the final.
Excellent. Okay, so Jen, you're on board with that also? You have that in front of you?
Yes, Casey and I have been talking about it, and we are good. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Go ahead and continue, Casey. You're doing great. I'm with you.
Okay, I haven't broken down in what the expenses were because those were the 4 different revenue sources, and they're a hodgepodge of what sources went to what, but it goes down to $156,000 into salary lines, $150,000 into professional services, $50,000 into office supplies, and $70,000 into operating supplies.
Excellent.
So the next
Commissioner,
go
do
ahead.
you have any questions of that so far?
None for me.
Nope, none from Commissioner Trask either. Go ahead, Casey.
Okay, the next amendment is to the housing fund, and this is additional CHG funding that came through that was signed in July. It's the second half of the year, and we didn't know what it was going to be until it came in.
Yeah.
And there is also the emergency housing grant. It transferred over from emergency housing. It's no longer federal funding, and Commerce took it over, and it's become state funding as of July 1. And so this kind of rolls all that into itself, and it's 100% going out to the different professional service lines because it's pretty much just pass through.
Excellent.
For $1.515 million.
Yeah. Hey, commissioners, any questions?
Nope.
We're good with moving everything forward, correct?
I am.
As am I. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Okay, the next item was going to be brought forward by Melissa. She's out. She had a family thing going on. So this is a contract amendment for $112,000 for Crossroads. This has been briefed before. What you're seeing here is just the actual contract itself.
Yeah. Questions, commissioners? Or are you good to go?
I am good to go with this, and then once we get through it, I do have a question about Crossroads for Dave.
Yep.
Yep, I'm good to go.
As am I. Go ahead with your question, Commissioner.
Dave, can you get some information for us about the facilities that Crossroads operates that they do for like their shelter and rentals and things like that, and just give us an overview of what's vacant and what's being occupied?
Okay, we can do that.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, bring it, because I'm curious of it, and I saw Commissioner Trask head go down, so bring it to us in a briefing so that we actually,
Okay,
thank you.
writing it down.
All right, do you have anything else for us?
No, we did trunk or treat up at the hospital this week. There this last Friday, and that was a big success. We had folks from our staff participated because it's now right behind our new building up there. So it was very handy for us, and it was very well attended. Lots of kids, lots of stuff going on. So
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Do you have anything for Dave? Hearing none, have a great one, Dave.
thanks.
All right, next up, I have Public Works, Loretta Swanson.
Good morning.
Morning.
First up, commissioners, we have a couple of tip cap applicants and are requesting, I guess, interviews. Yes, interviews first and then potential appointment.
Loretta, how many vacancies are there? I mean, are there 2 vacancies? We're interviewing 2 people.
There are actually 3, I believe,
Gotcha.
right now. Oh, well, I take that back. Yes, there are 3 vacancies.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with interviewing.
I'm good with interviewing as well. Commissioner Trask?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, and we were hoping, I think we've got another individual backup for potential renewal, and we were kind of waiting to pin that person down, but we'll move ahead on these. Thank you. And next up, commissioners, you see a news release for a community meeting to talk about an RID proposal or potential RID for Razor Road. And we also previously sent out a draft Survey Monkey for you to take a look at and did receive some feedback. Appreciate that. But if there are any other changes, we want to make sure that this is all good to go before we hit the send button and have this available.
I'm comfortable. Commissioners, you both comfortable?
Yeah, looks good to me.
Yeah, and I appreciated you sharing the questions with us too. That way, if we had input, we have an opportunity.
Mhm.
All right, great. And thanks to the engineering team for putting together the survey and the admin team for what I think is a really nice, attractive public meeting notice. And so hopefully we get some good participation from the community on this. All right, we'll get that rolling. The next item is one about some funding that we received to the tune of $1.6 million for a partnership project that we have in the Skokomish Valley. And this is to do some restoration work and some road work right there in the vicinity of the dips. The project has funding from FLAP, Western Federal Lands, which is administered by the Federal Highways. It also has some other federal funding as part of the pot and some RCO funds. And in reviewing with Department of Transportation, they were taking a look at the possibility for some potential for conflict between federal regulations and made the suggestion that we transfer the FLAP funds to BIA and then have the Skokomish administer that part of the funding package. So it's just remixing who is handling the funds. And we are certainly agreeable about that, but wanted to share that with commissioners and make sure that we answer any questions you may have about that before we get talking further with Western Federal Lands about a potential transfer. And certainly the tribe and conservation district are agreeable to this as well.
Commissioner Schutte, this is
Yeah, so I think this is really a great solution to the issues that we would have had going through local programs, and so I am supportive of this. It helps keep the project on its timeline and gets those funds deployed. Commissioners, you might remember I think we were initially awarded the flap funding in like 2018, right? So this
Yes.
has been a process, and so I think whatever we can do to expedite, and if that means moving it to BIA and going a different path to get this project done, I think that's in the long-term best interest of the valley.
Commissioner Trask,
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
I'm supportive.
Okay, great. We will get moving on that. All right, next up, commissioners, a discussion item on Belfair sewer capacity and the city of Bremerton's request for service. And during our last briefing, well, first of all, I want to say welcome back, Richard. Richard was on vacation last week. And so I was scrambling, trying to make heads or tails of this great coaster demonstration that he put together for Mark to help understand capacity. And then I tried to translate that to a one-page graphic. And so hopefully, Richard, we captured your coaster in the one-page graphic. Okay.
It looks good. Looks better than it looks better than coasters.
I know the coasters were more fun.
That's all I had.
Yes. So commissioners, during the last time we briefed on this or discussed this, you had some requests, and one, Commissioner Trask, you asked about communications that the city of Bremerton had received from the tribes when they first sent out their initial consultation letters. And so we shared with you the responses that the city had received back from the tribes. And hopefully all commissioners had a chance to take a look at that. Any,
You know,
I'm
Loretta,
sorry.
on that one,
Yeah,
I don't see that those are responses from the tribes. It looks like those are the letters that went to the tribes.
maybe the attachments didn't open. I could not get the one from, I think the Suquamish, I believe it was, but the Skokomish, or excuse me, the Squaxin tribe response was definitely attached.
Right, I did see that one, and they're
Yes.
concerned with the tribal cultural resources.
Yep.
But it was just an email, so,
And that was it. Yes.
okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
only one out of the 7?
Yes. Well, and then the Suquamish responded via email saying that they did not have any issue or concern.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then Commissioner Netherland, you had asked for an updated table. Actually, all commissioners wanted to have a better understanding of what our capacity is and what are our capacity triggers. And so this is in a little bit different format. Commissioner
Yeah,
Netherland,
some of
than
mine
your-
is cut off, just so you know, on my page that was printed.
Oh.
Is this saying that that Belfair existing flow is only 390 ERUs?
Yes. The equivalent, so 0.078 MGD is equivalent to 390 ERUs. We've certainly sold more than that, but what the situation is that the actual flow, so when we sell based on 200 and plan for 200. Or that's what our design is, our assumptions are. But in terms of what people are actually producing, it's less than the 155 gallons per day.
Right. We got a new system. It's really tight and there's no inflow and infiltration we're experiencing right now, but they design that into that number and calculate it with each ERU. So since it's it's literally brand new and doesn't have leaky pipes, and
Yeah.
we just don't have that flow associated with the design.
So Richard, maybe if you could take a minute to just do a quick walkthrough, and commissioners, do you want us to share?
Yeah, well, and I appreciate what that I was just looking at. So the request is more than 100% above what we're producing right now for Belfort itself.
Correct.
So twice, literally, it's 200% of where we're at because it's 100% above us. So
Yes, yeah. Now keep in mind, this is, if you recall the letter, this is not like immediate capacity. This is, again, a planning request. And so as development occurs over time, this is something that would be a maximum request. So it could be, well, probably very likely nothing for some time in terms of flows that would come our way. Maybe as long as 3 or 4 or 5 years, just because other things have to happen, right? And then after that, as development and requests come forward, that's when you would see some flow coming our way if this were to occur. So that 0.16 MGD is a request, a maximum request over a longer period of time.
no matter what, that's what they're asking us to sign on to, regardless of all that stuff.
Yes, yep,
Okay.
yep. Yeah,
Can
I
you-
just want to make sure that it's understandable that it's
Can
not.
you explain what the NL1 is on these, who this represents? NL1 on the document, NL4, NL5, and NL6?
Oh, okay, so this was these are Ned's, Ned Lever, the city
Okay,
engineer.
NL, Ned Lever, okay.
Yeah, this is Ned. And commissioners, just so you know, this is, some time ago, Ned prepared a draft just as these are potential topics, and these are areas that if we're moving forward, we've got questions about and different ways to go about it. So this is very much a very, very first cut of here are possible things that would be included in a draft ILA.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioner Shooting, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so this is equivalent, I mean, that is a portion of what you guys have here is so like 16% is the request of total capacity of design capacity.
Of the 1 MGD,
Correct.
that is, yes, yep, absolutely.
Over, and the planning horizon on that was 20 years.
Yes.
And that is, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so commissioners, what this is showing, and maybe Richard, maybe just a real quick high level of, okay, the plant can handle, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just a small portion of the plant that hasn't been expanded out. The front end of the plant, the screening, and the pump stations, all of that is sized up to 1 million gallons a day. And at the back end of the plant, the disinfection end of it, that's also already sized for the full build out. It's just actually the membrane basins themselves, and you just add them on incrementally as you would need to. After you get that 4th one on, then you'd have to decide what you're going to do with solids handling, because then right now we have 3 extra basins that are sized to be developed into membranes. And then so that right now there's solid storage basins. So that's basically it. I mean, there's not a ton of expansion at the plant, other than figuring out where would we store solids and how would we handle them. The biggest is the spray field. What do we do with the reclaimed water?
Okay, go ahead, Loretta.
I just received an email from Ned with the Suquamish Tribes Response Commissioners, so I forwarded that to you. So you've got a copy of that. But I just wanted to make sure that if there were any questions about the exhibit and capacity and what are the triggers, the most immediate trigger that we all know about, right, is the spray field. So even though we've got relatively low flow right now, we have sold capacity, right? We've issued permits for the apartments, and we still have Lennar homes that are still coming online. So as soon as that flow starts moving along, we're right there right now for the spray field expansion, which is why that is in our capital facilities plan to begin the work necessary to expand and dispose of our reclaimed water.
Okay. What's the next step that you're looking for, Loretta?
Well, I think the first step, commissioners, is there anything else that we can share or provide to help? I guess is the capacity question answered, or are there other questions about what our capacities are or triggers?
There's a ton of other questions for me. It's just not for this moment. This is my first blush at this. I would like to read it and go over it. There's some stuff in here that I actually like, that I actually think will help to protect us. But for the most part, that doesn't change the fact that even still, we should not be using all of our stuff that we did for our community that put our businesses out of business when they couldn't hook up to it. That cost all of them that kind of money in order to provide what's needed for competition to the community that we have. Then they build on the hill. That's competition to Mason County. We don't get the sales tax. We don't get the property tax. We don't get any of that. I'd like to see what you say, how much you say we could maybe collect. How much are we allowed to sell things for? For a client, can we charge an extra half? Can we charge? I don't know any of that yet. I'd like to see that. But there's some of these things in here that help to protect us. And as I said, I am interested in the protection of us, even if I can't win the argument on the other, whether or not to do this. I think it's highly inappropriate for a county to be providing this type of help to the people that are going to put the businesses that I have there in Belfair perhaps out of business, be their competition. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But again, I'm one vote, and we'll argue that out at another time. Right now, I think this is a good start to at least I know what we're talking about and what we have. Commissioner Trask.
So I'm thinking this is probably another road trip. I'd like to go out there and take a look at the sewer. As you know, I'm very visual, and I always like to put my feet on the ground and get it explained to me in, I guess, visual terms. So if we could take a look at either next week or the following week to go out there and take a look at it so that you guys can explain some things to me, that would be great.
Well worth the trip, Commissioner. I went up there and Richard and his staff that operate the facility walked me through it and showed me how it all worked. And so it definitely I also process things visually. And so that definitely helped me better understand this whole discussion about capacity and where it's at.
Right. I've been up there before. They took me on a tour of all the plants that we have and everything. So that was very beneficial, but we didn't talk about this big of an expansion. And so that's what I'd like to see. But
So how physically would that occur, Commissioner?
Yeah, we may want to set it up as an actual commission field trip. The public would be allowed to go, of course, as well. We did before. We went up there before, Loretta, you and I did, and the mayor was there, Bremerton and stuff like that. We noticed it and people could show. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If we want to do that, why don't we time it for November 7th when we're all going to be up there for the ribbon cutting?
Right.
I mean, that's a great idea.
I'd say, how do you argue with that one? I'm
Yeah.
not sure whether I'm going to be there, but I got something I'm working on. But that does make sense. Okay. So can you plan that, Loretta?
Yes, we can do that. All right. Any other requests, commissioners, on how? I know that, do you want to set a time with the city to talk over just big picture concepts, or?
I'd rather us have our discussions first. We were supposed to be talking to the city for the last so many years and we haven't. I haven't. I was supposed to be on it, but we're at this point. Let's talk internally and then figure out what our questions are.
Okay. So to help with that, commissioners, would you prefer that Richard and I frame up some of the broader policy questions or questions relating to what the content of an ILA?
I would, if
And
you
bring
would,
that
for
back?
myself, you know a lot of my questions. If you would mind straw dogging that, and then I can add to it. Commissioners, are you comfortable with the same format?
I had sent a number of questions to Loretta last week, so and she replied to me, and I'm comfortable with the responses that I got in relation to some of those items within the ILA, and so I don't know, Loretta, if you have what you need from me on that, but I think, what kind of a timeline are you hoping for in order to get this back in front of us? I mean, again, the big concern that I have is $1.6 million that Commerce won't release till there's some sort of path forward here. And that's $1.6 million that will eventually be put back on the ratepayer. So when we're talking about trying to protect our business owners and we're trying to talk about how we stabilize rates long term, $1.6 million in grant funds goes a long way to helping preserve that system and keeping it financially sustainable.
Okay, I need to clarify something there, Commissioner, because I disagree. First of all, I don't think we're in that big a hurry or we lose the funds, number one. Number two, if this is for the planning of what it's like to do the extension, what it would cost to do the extension, if we don't do it, that doesn't go on to ratepayers. We're not charging the ratepayers $1.6 million. That's not what's happening here.
Well, it's actually in our capital facilities plan that we've adopted to do this.
We have a lot of stuff.
Oh, so, well, I guess that's the difference in opinion between you and me in terms of doing something or not doing something long term. So
yeah,
I want to get things accomplished.
Yep.
And not charge the ratepayers for it.
Yeah, like I said, that it's not appropriate. Our ratepayers are not going to have to pay $1.6 million if we don't move forward. That's just ridiculous.
Oh, okay. So I mean, well, that's essentially then you're saying even within the UGA, if we don't do this work, you're essentially going back to the moratorium phase, which I don't think is an appropriate place.
Again, another ridiculous statement. Nobody's talking about a moratorium. The state was honest. I was here. Just so you know, I was here when the moratorium happened, and the state was honest to make that happen. That wasn't the commissioners wanting to do it. The state was on them to make that happen because we did not have a sewer system, and it was for doing our area, for doing Belfair. It wasn't for doing Kitsap. We have no moratorium if we don't hook up our competitor next door. That's not even close to an accurate statement. Commissioner Traska is, but let's go ahead at the same time, even though me and Commissioner Schutte disagree, it is important that he also get what he needs out of this as well. So perhaps we can set this up for another discussion in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would be comfortable with that. I know that we need to get this finished because the legislature did, give us some money to do the design, whether it's in Mason County or in Kitsap County. So I'd like us to make sure that we're able to do that and get that money. I'd hate for the legislature to think that we're not interested in expanding, whether it's within Mason County or otherwise. So I want to make sure that we're covered in all areas.
Yeah.
So in 2 weeks, that would be great.
Just I know 2 weeks is Veterans Day, so I'd be happy to try to do this on that Tuesday or the 12th.
Yeah,
but
Mark, if you don't mind, Commissioner, Mark has his hand up. It may answer your question. Go ahead, Mark. What do you got?
No, I just had a question for you guys, and it kind of relates to what Richard presented to you all in the capacities discussion, and so I think that the next thing that we have to do to handle additional capacity within our facility, and that's just additional capacity, no matter where it comes from. If there was a development that occurred up on Romance Hill, and they added an additional 300 homes up there, then I think that the next item on our list to do is the expansion of the spray field to determine how we handle the reclaim water. I think that was the one that Richard kind of explained to me, and Richard, correct me if I'm wrong here. And so as far as I'm just talking about the capacity of the plant. You know, we may have to add some additional membranes to handle that, but the real investment that the county will have to make once all of the current stuff gets connected is that spray field. And so we're going to have to work with the Department of Ecology to determine that. Is that correct, Richard?
100%. Yeah, the treatment plant, that's easy. It's easy to add concrete or pumps and stuff. It's the final disposal of your Class A reclaimed water, where it goes, and it's not just ecologies. The tribe's going to want to know where it goes, and they're going to have a say in it, and it could be really a sticky situation. So
yeah, so just I think I guess, commissioners, what I'm trying to say is that if I take the part of the discussion of where that sewer comes from out of this conversation, that is the next things that we're going to have to do in Belfair, is determine how we're going to expand the spray field.
Well, one of the things we definitely have to do is we have to measure twice and cut once. It makes no sense to try and ram things through. If anything else, instead of trying to ram it up a week earlier, if you're comfortable, can we put it out to the third week when we are together?
So that would be November 18th.
Yes.
It's like, that's fine. Like, whatever staff, you know, if you think you need until the 18th to figure that out, that's fine. And I think that it's not ramming things through when you've been having the same conversation for 8 years, and you've been having the same access to the capital facilities plan and recognizing what's in our planning documents. It's like, it's not ramming things through until you wait until next year, maybe to, you know, potentially, if we're both still, or you'll be maybe here, I'm not, but, you know, maybe if you're just waiting to run clock so that we lose $1.6 million to do this, I would get that. But the fiscal year ends June 30th, 2025. Commerce has an expectation that we will make good on this at some point before then. So we're not ramming anything through. We've had several months to work on this.
Yeah. And, you know, this was brought up, 2 weeks ago is when we had it brought before us, and now it's 2 weeks later. So 3 weeks, if we're okay, we'll go ahead and set it up for that. I do want to say that, you know, we got a situation right now where we have a pump station that still we don't have agreements on, and where it's at, we can't just put things out there and then hope it falls together. It's just not the best thing for business. But aside from that, so we'll meet in 3 weeks on this issue. And if you don't mind, if you can still put together that straw dog with some of the questions, so I can add a few of my own. And then when we do, I think it would probably still be appropriate, because there's disagreement on this, to share those comments with the other commissioners. I'm sure Commissioner Schutte would like to hear what I have to say about it and what comments, so that he can rebut it. That's only fair. That's what we do.
Yeah, and Loretta, please feel free to share my questions and your responses with Mark and Commissioners Trask and Netherland as well.
Thank you.
And so we're going to, just to clarify, so I understand kind of the expectations of what we bring back is, what the commissioners want to start focusing on is the components of this interlocal agreement. Is that what
That's what I understood.
Okay. Great. So as far as capacity and kind of what the next steps are there, we all basically understand that. Commissioner Trask may do a field trip up there to visually see how that works, to kind of solidify that in your mind. But as far as working, we need to really focus on this interlocal agreement, and how do we put language in there from a Mason County perspective, because this is all from a Bremerton perspective now. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, what else you got for us, Loretta?
That is about it, commissioners.
So, Loretta, I got contacted by somebody, and they just sent a letter too. I'm trying to find this letter that just showed up. Okay, so there's property out on the North Shore Road that somebody is having some issue with runoff, and it's at the 12-mile mark.
Yep.
And she has contacted staff to look at different ways to get it done. Says that the water is flowing through it, and she's hoping that the county would get a culvert. I think we all got a letter. She told me she sent it to me a while back, but I literally just got it today. So
Mhm. Yeah,
can you look at
I don't
that?
see Dave on here, but I believe Dave and Peter were out last week to take a look at that, Commissioner.
And her concern was the debris that she wanted to have the debris cleaned. Is that
No,
her
it's
concern?
more than that now. After the conversation, what she's saying is they believe that the runoff is the county's problem that keeps coming in. There's two things. There's the debris one is on is in Allen. The one I'm talking about is down the north shore of the Hood Canal. There's like 5 property owners that believe that the water is coming across the road, it's affecting them, and there should be a culvert placed in there where there is not now. Originally, I think they were talking about just looking at ways to open that ditch, but now they're asking for a culvert because they paid somebody to go out there and take a look at it. Now, personally, I did mention to them, I looked down the line and it appears that they have both sides of the road. So that may be an issue when it comes to whether or not we pay for a culvert or something. But I did tell her that I would ask and we would look into the options and see what it looks like. I get some type of response. So Loretta, can you find that letter? It should be there. I'll get you a copy of it if you don't have it. So we
I
can
have
look
it.
at that. Okay.
Yep,
And
and
the
like I
other-
said, we were out to take a look at it and do an
Oh, you were?
assessment. Yeah, last week.
Okay, so what did you come up with on that? And you don't
I
have, if you don't
haven't-
have an answer now, just,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, please keep me in the loop on that one because they are contacting me to have a conversation. That other one on Sherwood Creek, I went out there and I looked at that.
Yep.
And that's an interesting thing. Me and Loretta talked about it. There is no culvert there right now. There's no ditch for it to run into. And I'm not sure how to do that. It looks like it's coming out of the ground there and going across the road. And how that would be handled normally, I don't know.
Yeah. So same thing, still assessing that one, Commissioner,
Okay.
and solutions there.
Yeah, when you send somebody out to that one again, could you let me know so I can just go out and get their 2 cents and see what they're seeing? I was looking at it, and I'm seeing the slide and everything else, but that was a long time ago. I don't know if that plays any part in the decisions, but I do know that every aspect of this, when we're talking about the people's money, we have to consider that stuff because although it would be nice, we historically try not to spend the people's money on private property projects.
Right.
And I don't want to give them false hope if it's not our monkey, so to speak. But I could see how, for the benefit of the community, it would be that we at least have a ditch there of some sorts. But then I understand that they may be saying that there's a driveway. Well, I don't know what to tell you on that one if there's not one located. So
Yeah.
that's what I had on those, Loretta. Does anybody else have anything for Loretta on that stuff or any stuff?
Nope.
No. All right. Thank you, Loretta. You got anything else for us?
No, I think that is all for now, Commissioners. Thank you.
Okay. Next up. So Mark, I know that you're next up, but he's been sitting here waiting patiently and we are 25 minutes into it and I had here 10-ish. Would you mind if we jump in front and do an interview? Or are you time
Of course
sensitive?
not. No, you're good. Yeah,
Okay.
go for it.
Commissioners, are you comfortable with jumping ahead to do the interview? This is your barbecue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So next up, I'd like to welcome our applicant. He is applying for the Timberland Regional Library Board of Trustees. Dean Jewett. Hi, Dean. Welcome. Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Good morning. Good morning again.
Good morning. So here's what we're going to do. We have 5 different questions. And there's no right answer, no wrong answer. We ask that you be brief on them though when you're answering. Keep it as simple as possible. And in the end, you'll be given an opportunity to ask us questions. So Commissioner Schutte, if you don't mind, would you start? Commissioner Trask, then myself, and we'll just roll on through.
Excellent. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Dean. Thanks for being with us and for your patience this morning. First question is, what do you see as the function of Timberland Regional Library Board of Trustees?
Well, it's going to be to ensure, an accurate mission statement and have it align with what the community needs are. Reviewing policies and procedures, budget, assisting staff without running the library, and assisting the executive director.
Great. So why do you want to sit on this advisory board?
Well, I feel like it add a unique perspective coming from, areas of leadership, being heavily involved in the community, a love for reading. I got a short little story. Back when I was a school kid, I was listed and labeled as a slow reader, and I got angry about that. So I attacked the library, the bookmobile, everything that I could. And by the end of 6th grade, I had read the entire Stephen King novel, The Stand, which is a huge book. So I got a good love for reading and a good love for the community, and think that I could do a good job.
Now, this appointment is for 7-year term, and the board meets the 4th Wednesday in the evening and typically outside of Mason County. Will this be any kind of an issue for you?
No worries. I love driving.
And do you have any conflicts of interest with the mission of the advisory board?
No, I can't see anything.
And finally, do you have any questions for us?
Do you guys have enough time? No. No, just really looking forward to it. If it's not me, then whoever it is, I look forward to the library being a good place for the community to go to. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So we don't know when we'll be making the decision at this point, but it would be on an agenda in the next week or so. Do we have any other interviews on this one, Mark, coming up?
I believe we interviewed one other candidate, and I think these were the only 2 applicants that we had. So
That's what I remember, is 2 applicants.
So we don't have any other lined up for next week or anything like that, correct?
Hi, Commissioners. It's Mackenzie.
Hi,
These were the
Mackenzie.
only 2 applications that came in for the library.
Okay, so that's it. All right, so we thank you, Dean, and you can stay on if you want. We're going to have a little conversation. Commissioners, you want to talk about it now, or you want to talk about it later?
So just a question, maybe an additional question for Dean, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Dean, you had also applied for, I think, Historic Preservation Committee as well?
Correct.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, with that being said, Dean, we have a past practice. It's basically a policy even that we created, but that people get precedent that are not serving on a current board. With that being said, if you had to choose between them, is there a choice that you would make?
Yeah, I'd probably choose the library and then the historic committee.
Thank you. Commissioner Trask.
Yeah, do we want to wait until the end to have everybody, that way that gives us, moments to think about it, and that we have our commissioner discussion at the end of our meeting, so we could decide then if that
I'll
works.
accept that request and support it. You'll support that as well, Commissioner Schutte?
Yeah, great.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll have this conversation at the end of the meeting. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have Mark Neary.
Ready, thank you. So I'm going to jump right in with John. Are you on here? I see you. Make sure you're awake here to talk about Emergency Management Performance Grant. All right, and then I know Mary's not here, but I think I saw Megan. Megan, are you going to present the 2025 non-represented medical contributions increase?
Stop that. There we go.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was trying to get off the mute. Good morning. So yeah, we're just putting forward to request to increase the 2025 non-represented medical contribution rate by the $52 a month to be in line with all the other groups, and then with that and the pooling method, the $1236.69 per month would be for those individuals that are employee only. And then the $2,002.67 would be for the individuals that are employees plus dependents for the disbursement. We're just asking to get. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay, Commissioner Schutte. You comfortable?
I am.
Commissioner Trask?
As am I.
As am I, Nicole.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hold
Have
on,
a great day.
Nicole, before
Yep.
you leave, commissioners, I want you to know that, I served with Nicole on the, with Risk, and we went ahead and we did 3 days over there in Skamania, and she was a panelist, and she did us proud. And I wanted to let you know that as commissioners, before she got off. Thank you, Nicole. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you so much. I enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, proud of you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Appreciated it. I love what I do.
Yeah.
Have
All
a
right,
great
Mark.
day.
Well,
Thanks,
thank you.
Nicole, and
What do you got, Mark?
congratulations. That's great. Yeah. So I think that I've got John on here now. So John, are you ready to do the? I see Mason County EOC. Oh, there you go.
Oh. Sorry, commissioners, my computer is running a little slow today. So when I click, it's not moving. So good morning. The EMPG that we're presenting is the one that we virtually get every year. It's for emergency management. What we've been using it on as equipment. In the past, it's been used for labor, but we've been able to fix that part with the graciousness of you folks and giving us the ability to do our labor. So now we're using for equipment, and I think a piece of it we've got slotted to go to search and rescue, as well as a piece of the sheriff's department to help in their emergency mobile EOC. And so this is just the contract so that we can finish it up and get it in. And it's, of course, the state just provided it, so we have a short timeline as usual to turn around, but we pretty much have our equipment already identified. So is there any questions?
Commissioner Trask, any questions?
Not at all. I like it.
Commissioner Schutte?
Yeah, none for me.
None from me as well, but I will point out, we do have a grant writer. We used to get a little more money. I don't know if there's anything even out there, but that's something that you could reach out to her just to make sure she's got it in her targets, please.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you. All right, what else you got?
All righty. Next little topic here.
I'm sorry, Mark, before you do.
Yeah.
Hey, John, the search and rescue, who's that under? What exactly does that fall under?
Well, it's kind of a shared responsibility. So we have administrative oversight. The sheriff department has operational oversight. So we ensure that they have the equipment and communications that they need so that they're out there safely. And the sheriff department ensures that they're trained as well as equipped to go ahead and do the search and rescues as the RCW requires.
Okay, so, but do they answer to either one of you?
Yes, they answer to both of us.
Okay, I've got some citizen stuff I need to talk to you about here shortly.
Okay.
Get a chance, let's get together. Okay, thank you.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
Appreciate it. Mark?
All righty. So let's jump right into budget, Jen.
Good morning. I'll share my screen and we can get started. Okay, so current expense, we are currently at $70,494,894 in revenues, including our beginning estimated fund balance of 26.5 million. Our salaries and benefits are estimated at $36,466,739 as of today. And operating is estimated at $18,856,104. Ending fund balance is estimated at $15,172,051. The amount that we are estimated right now to use from ending fund balance is $11,327,949. And I did forget to adjust the transfer out of the LATCF fund, so that would be in this number here. I need to reduce that by 150,000, and so that will bring this number that we're using out of our resources for next year to $11,177,949. Any questions on the general fund at this point?
Last year's projected expenditure over ending fund over budget was how much again?
We ended, the adopted budget was $7,668,858 out of not out of balance, but, you know,
Yes.
using that amount in cash.
And we had an expected ending fund balance of what?
Last year, our budgeted ending fund balance was 28 million for 24.
And we think we're gonna be at 26.5. Are you feeling pretty comfortable with that now?
I feel pretty comfortable with that. I think it may be slightly high. I mean,
Hmm.
maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to tell. I mean, yeah, I feel like it's a pretty good number. When I say slightly high, I mean like maybe, you know, 100,000 high.
So Jennifer, the last year, are you saying the budgeted ending fund balance, or that was the actual ending fund balance?
The budgeted ending fund balance was actually 28 million, and the actual beginning fund balance was about 27,500,000 and something, and that was because we had the large payout on a contract that wasn't figured into that number at the time. So, and that payout ended up being about 500,000. So it would have been spot on had we not had that payout. So, I feel like generally I'm pretty good at predicting the beginning fund balances. So I'll go back and, you know, I'll continue to look at it up until budget adoption and see.
Yeah. And I'll pull my books out again. I just know you have it right in front of you. Okay, so go ahead, continue.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to the special funds overview. So for the special funds, we are looking at $113,729,424 in revenue. We have $16,085,776 in salaries and benefits budgeted. In operating, and this includes their ending fund balance, $97,643,648 for total expenditures of $113,729,424. With the general fund, all funds are right now estimated to be budgeted at $184,224,318. And I did want to bring up for roads, they have that beginning road or road reserve, I think it is. Oops. These columns.
Are you talking about the new road for economic development line?
Yeah, I think it's just called new road projects in the ending fund balance
Okay.
in Munis. So yeah, right now their beginning fund balance is estimated to be 13,000,005. Whoops, sorry. It's harder to navigate with Zoom because I have to move around it. Okay, so we have $13,567,378 as the estimated beginning fund balance. Their estimated ending fund balance is $11,176,510.
Yeah.
And they, you know, never eat into their ending fund balance, or you know, they haven't as long as I can remember. So we can definitely increase their new road projects line if that's what you choose to do. I know it was brought up that you wanted to increase it to by $2 million. It's currently 4.5 million.
So commissioners, I know for sure I would like that. I think it's a great place to put it. If something ever happens that it's absolutely needed, it is accessible for anything other than that. But it's served us well as a good reserve to have in the past. I think it'd be beneficial to do that now. Commissioner Trask, how do you feel?
You know, honestly, I'm okay with whatever. What I'd like to do, or what I would like to have happen, is for if we do this, to have TIPCAP come forward with some recommendations. I know that we have our roads projects, But I'm wondering if staff has ever really said, hey, we've got this in the account. You know, what's your recommendation? Just, I want to really start using our committees because, you know, they are kind of our SMEs. And so with all of them, well, I just think that we could use them more effectively, efficiently. But I think that this might be something. So honestly, as far as putting something in the reserved account, I'm fine either way.
And just so you know, when we did it originally, we had things that we had envisioned. The commission had envisioned when they put it in there. It does make sense that no matter what, we do use the tip cap, and I agree with you 100% on that because that's what they're there for any expenditure. One of the reasons for the tip cap was to make sure that not us, but any commission in the future didn't do pet projects that it went through and made sure that it was beneficial to the whole county. So it makes sense to go ahead and do that. One of the things that may come up in the near future, Commissioner Trask, is one of the reasons why I think this is a good thing. I know I talked to Dan about it, and I've talked to him about it again, and we've talked in the past. There may come a time in the very near future where they have extra monies that are available at the end of a year, and may be able to move things around if we have matching funds, or even a priority list that we can move something up the list if we're willing to give in more money to match. That it may move it up the list. So with that, having those dollars available can really make a difference and give us the opportunity to move quickly if something happens.
Are you talking Representative Griffey?
Yes.
Okay.
Kevin?
I know lots of Dans, so I was just trying to figure out which one.
For the public, Representative Griffey is on transportation and stuff too. So he's been very, very helpful with all the things we're doing and will be very helpful in the near future if we have a project that comes up. Commissioner Schutte.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think my frustration is, continues to be that we continue to reserve this money and actually don't do any roads for economic development. And so it looks like essentially we're maybe supporting a fund to nowhere. And so I don't like that aspect of it. But if there is going to be a plan, to do the freight corridor connectors or do Razor Road or do something with John's Prairie, then I think we need to do that sooner rather than later, just because if we would have made some of these investments 8 years ago, look at those costs versus, where they are in 2024, where they would be in 26 or 28. So I like the idea of actually being able to utilize those funds to go do projects.
I 100% agree with you. We should have already moved forward years ago, and that's one of the issues I've had with Public Works is we didn't solidify some things for the top of Romance Hill because that's where some money was supposed to go. There was also supposed to be for money put aside for Razor Road that may be coming to fruition now if the citizens are involved with it. I wanted to remind Commissioner Trask that 1 million of this money that was put aside specifically. We're not held to it, but that was the reason why it was put aside specifically for the Gateway project coming in to Shelton.
I know Loretta and I have talked about that as well. What I'd like to see is from Tip Cap and our Public Works folks is a priority list. Which ones, what projects are we going to get done? Not are we thinking about getting done, but which projects can we get done and or completed? Whether it's engineering is great, but once don't spend the money frivolously if we're not going to do the project. I want what I'd like to see is what we can do and what we will do.
And I agree, and I think November will be the first taste of it. So we're all in agreement to go ahead and move that money. Is that what I heard?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Jennifer, what else you got?
Okay, so the next thing that I have is Law Library Fund 160. I just wanted to bring to your attention their beginning fund balance. I had to increase that a couple $100 in order for the fund to balance. You'll notice there's no ending fund balance here, and that's because, oh, sorry, wrong one, right here. Because we're expecting to expend their full budget. So every year this fund gets tighter and tighter, and I've never had to increase their beginning fund balance before to make it balance, but and again, it's only a couple $100, but just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Are you asking for that now? And if so, are you asking for a little extra to give a cushion?
I I think we should wait and see until next year if they're really going to need it. Because it's possible they won't expend their full operating budget. Not that there's a lot of cushion in there, it's pretty tight. And their salaries are very tight as well. But just something to keep an eye on. I just wanted you to be aware of it.
Commissioners, do you have a preference either way? Or are you good with just keep it status quo?
I'm comfortable with Jennifer's recommendation.
Oh, me too.
As do I. Okay, what else you got, Jennifer?
Thank you. So the next thing is Mason Lake Management. They have met and they want to increase their operating assessment from $41,675 to $43,759. So I just wanted to let you know that they want to do that. So I'll be increasing the revenue in their budget for the next or for the adopted budget.
I don't know if the commission has had a chance to get out there, but they actually do a lot with their stuff there. It's pretty impressive. They use it through their Mason Benson Club, and they're able to have full participation, which I wish I'd seen that more often, but it's happening there.
Yeah, they seem to be very organized, and they're actually meeting with us later today to talk about a grant that they want to go for from Department of Ecology, I believe it is.
Like I said, as for myself, I can't speak for the other commission, but after watching what they've done before, you can tell them they have my full support because they don't waste it. All right, what else you got?
The Belfair Sewer, so I just wanted to bring this to your attention too. Super small, but the principal and interest, I received the dollar amounts from the treasurer's office, and the principal is under budgeted by $40. So I just need to increase that amount. So I
don't
know, Commissioner Schutte, you might have a problem with that. What do you think?
I was gonna say I can give you 220s here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, I know, but I didn't want you to see that their dollar amount had changed.
No, we're gonna find that in the paper next week.
Yeah, so that's all that I have on the special funds before we go into PLRs.
Okay, on those special funds, one question I want to ask you. Do you see any other opportunities coming up, especially when we're talking about PLRs, that we can utilize any of these funds from the special funds, such as REIT or, traffic diversion or anything for the ability to lower down some of these numbers?
I mean, in the general fund, I think that we should hold on to looking at increasing the diversion, or looking at levy shift, or using our bank capacity. Any of those options that we have until we actually really need it. I don't think it's needed at this point. And I think we've really kind of exhausted looking at the use of any of those special funds. I think we're utilizing whatever we can at this point.
Okay.
So I think I'm pretty comfortable with where we're at with that. We will be briefing ARPA next week, and there will be some money coming back into the general fund.
That are not shown here?
Yes, that are not shown here.
I like that sound. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's substantial enough to really, I need to look at how that would affect the beginning fund balance. But yeah, I mean, it could, depending on which way we end up going with some of those things.
Okay. I look forward to it.
And last of the one-time money that's coming out of ARPA that could potentially positively impact general fund, but
yeah. Time for those grants to come in.
On the this affects all funds, and it's kind of small, but notable. It needs to be noted. I think since we, I mean, our salaries and benefits, we've updated that to the best of our ability. This is the most accurate we've ever been, and up to date with all of our contracts and things like that. So I need to look at the medical and see how that's going to affect us. And then the Washington paid FMLA, it is going, we got notice on Friday that it's going from 0.74% to 0.92% in 2025. So that'll have just a small impact to the general fund, and I can update that. The cost to the general fund will be roughly $46,000. And the cost to the special funds will be about $19,000 roughly, which isn't a huge impact considering that, I mean, in the general fund, our salaries are over 25 million, and in the special funds, about 11 million. So, so not a huge impact, but just something worth noting.
So are we on to the,
Yeah, that's all that I have on the maintenance level number. So I'll show you the PLRs. We can go over those again.
okay,
We've made decisions on quite a few of them. I think the only thing we have left is the actual positions. Is that correct, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other things I wanted to go over. So, so I put in here the what was approved. So the total request, what was approved, and then anything if we moved it to the special funds. So, yeah, I mean, we can go over the things that are not approved again.
yeah, let's do that, or still looking at it, at least go ahead and start at the top.
Okay, so the first one that we have is the auditor's deputy position. So they're asking to increase or, you know, add that position and then remove the what is it called? The elections
Administrator.
Okay, so on that one, commissioners, I'm still in favor. It's their department. It's what they need to do, especially as they're going on and moving on to try and handle a few other things that we know that they're facing right now. This gives them the opportunity. It's a small amount. And again, it's what they feel that they need in their department to run their operation with a request under 10,000. I think it's important that we support them when they have these ideas. And you did clarify that there was never any intention of keeping the position. It was intended to be removed from the beginning. So that's what I'm comfortable with, because I think that second position needs to be removed. Commissioner Trask.
I'm still hesitant over this one. I know that we have quite a few other requests as well for new positions. What I'd like to do, what my plans are, I've already spoken to the auditor, but I'd like to speak to the sheriff and district court and the others so that I can talk to them about their position request, just so that I can clarify it within my own head. What their actual ask is and whether or not it's needed.
Okay, so for the other ones, I'm not trying to speak for you. I'm trying to clarify for myself that I understand. What you're saying right now is, although we're looking at this, you're not prepared to make the decisions on the other places until you have further discussions with the sheriff and the other electeds regarding them. Is that what I just heard you say?
Yeah, and I know that we're going to discuss this more on Monday.
Okay. Okay.
So at this point, I want to hold off.
Okay. Commissioner Schutte. Are you in the same place she is, or?
No, I mean, what are we doing next month? When you say we're discussing this on Monday, do you mean next Monday? And what are we doing next Monday?
It's on my calendar that we're.
Oh, you are having those individual meetings next Monday?
We're having individual meetings? No, I was talking about me meeting with them by myself, but
yeah,
we can call them in if you want. If that's, you know.
No, I'm asking you what's happening on, you said you're we're talking about these on Monday. Is that all of us next Monday are having a budget conversation, or?
I have it on my calendar that we're having budget discussions, but maybe that's just my calendar. My calendar might be off.
Yeah, Mark, Jennifer, is that what you have on your calendars?
I'm gonna look to Jen for that one.
I don't have it on my calendar, but I mean, I always just assume that we're gonna talk about budget every Monday until we're done.
Oh, yeah.
I'll put another question. Then Commissioner Trask, are you requesting an additional week before making these decisions until you have the time to meet with those specific electeds and department heads?
Well, I'm sure I can talk to most of them this week.
That's what I meant. So are you asking for an additional week to make these decisions until next Monday?
Yeah, but it only takes two. So, you know,
Okay. No, I get that. All right, Commissioner Schutte,
I'm fine having the conversation on Monday. I mean,
okay.
I'm good to not make any comments now.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on then. The next thing that we have is the supplies, extra help and overtime, which I think we all agreed that those weren't really necessary. If this auditor's financial services position is moved from a 0.5 to a 1 FTE, they won't need you know, a laptop or
Yeah, I think we were all in agreement in that. If I'm incorrect, please speak up, commissioners. Nope, we were in agreement. Let's go ahead and continue.
And the extra help, this looked like it wasn't really needed to me. And it would.
Yeah, and I thought we discussed that, and if something came up, that would be brought back to us later in the year. Is that what I understood, commissioners?
mm-hmm.
Right, what else you got?
No here, so we don't come back to that then? Is
Okay.
everybody good with that? Okay, so the next thing is the emergency management overtime, and the question if they can use flex instead of overtime. And we've just, I think, said we'll come back to that. So, I mean, it honestly doesn't make a lot of sense that we approved the assessor's office overtime of $5,000 when last year their expense was about 6,800, and you know, we gave them an additional $5,000 from their budget of $5,000, but for emergency management they have no overtime budgeted. I mean, this year they're looking at about $11,000 so far and what they've expended.
So are you recommending, Jennifer?
Yeah, I am. I mean, their department is so small. I think that we will end up just doing an amendment.
Okay, Commissioner Schutte?
So you're recommending to approve the $3,800 request. Is that what you're saying? Or you're saying handle it through an amendment next year?
That, or either that or remove the assessor's $5,000. I mean, you know, their additional $5,000. Like, it doesn't make sense to give them $5,000 and then not give emergency management.
So Jennifer, we did that 5,000 off of your recommendation the last week.
Right.
If you're
now,
saying
I'm
this is a
gonna move
recommendation, I'm supportive of going forward with it as your recommendation. If you're saying we're supposed to remove them, then I need your recommendation to say that for me.
I mean, it is, I don't know. I think that we should just approve the emergency management now for 3,800 as well, since
Okay.
they are such a small department.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner Schutte?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay. Are you supportive?
Yeah. Yep.
Commissioner Trask?
Yeah, and I'm thinking that a lot of their overtime was because of Fire 12 and all the trainings that they had to do there. So I'm hoping that they don't need as much overtime. I'm hoping that we don't have another disaster like that in Mason County ever again. But I still am not comfortable with doing overtime, period. I would rather them come back in. I just don't want departments saying, oh, well, gosh, you know, we've got $11,000 for overtime and so let's use it.
So
that-
on this one, because it is a request, Commissioner Schutte is supportive and I am as supportive as well. Can we join together on this one?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, but again, I'm premising this because it was a request from Jennifer. So what else you got, Jennifer? You have three.
And again, normally I would not be supportive of this overtime request, but because they're so small and they don't have any overtime budgeted,
No,
then
it's okay.
that's why I'm supportive of that.
What else you
Well,
got for us?
I'm also hoping that because they are now a split department, they don't have parks. I'm hoping that that'll maybe resolve that overtime issue as well.
The
Yeah.
majority of the overtime was for staff and not for the shared resource in parks, so.
So what else you got, Jennifer?
Okay, so we have the overtime request for HR and then the travel and training, which I wasn't able to connect with Mary on the training on, you know, whether or not we got reimbursed, but I'm thinking, I mean, they already have an overtime budget and a pretty healthy travel and training budget. So I'm thinking on these, we can just come back and ask for additional money if necessary.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the only thing I remember from our discussions is we came back with, we were a no unless it was reimbursable. We don't want to screw that up.
Mhm.
So if it comes back as reimbursable, it stays. If it's not, then the extra was to be removed. Commissioner Trask, is that what I remember from you as well?
Yep.
Commissioner Schutte?
Yes.
So that's where we're at on that one, Jennifer.
The clerk's overtime, I don't think they're going to need that amount. So did you want to discuss that further?
I think they did. Commissioner Schutte, you had an opinion last time on that?
Yeah, I was a no.
And Commissioner Trask was the same, if I remember.
Yep.
So there you go. What you got next?
So district court, again, they're asking for a deputy to their deputy. And
I think that I can shorten that one up. If I understood the commission at the time, it was yes, if you have the paper, but if you don't have the paper with the declaration, then it's a no. Is that what I understood?
Right. I don't see it as a new position. I see it as succession planning.
Yes. That's what I meant by the paper. I'm sorry. With the statement that there was a retirement and this was only to come in to fill that retirement void for that process, but absent of that actual documentation of retirement, it was a no. That better explained?
yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was still.
Okay. Well, Commissioner Schutte, you still agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then we have we won't talk about the IT trackable that again. Do we want to revisit the community development, ask the furniture at this time, the 65,000?
We never got an answer back though, did we? So we can wait till next week when we have the other discussion if we have an answer. Are you comfortable with that, Commissioner Trask?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Schutte?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then parks, the maintenance 2 was a no last week. Moving down to the sheriff's office. So they have their deputy for civil as a request, their ProAct sergeant, and their admin lieutenant requests. And their priorities are first the deputy for civil, then the admin lieutenant, and then the ProAct sergeant.
I thought it was decided that at least Commissioner Schutte was supportive of the deputy for civil. I don't remember what Commissioner Trask said. Were you wanting to wait until you talked to him, Commissioner? Is that what that was?
Yep, I did.
Okay. Yeah, I just had that both of you were maybe.
No, and I try to support when somebody wants more time. I always try to support that time. It's too important of decisions not to. So I support her decision for more time. So I think she's asking that for all of them. Commissioners, as you go into these conversations, I'd like to remind you that perhaps we can create a new position there if we need be through diversion. Diversion could make up for funds at least, so it would be, money in, money out. And we took out 1,000,000.08 last time and returned it. But if need be, some of that money is still there. I just wanted to put that out there. I myself would always like to see another corrections officer position because I feel having more of those redundancy is a good thing. But that's just a comment from me. But right now, the request is still the same, that we bring this up next week, is what I understood.
Okay, so one last thing on the sheriff's office, to talk about maybe after you've talked to them. So I talked to the undersheriff last week about the overtime, and he's very concerned about the holiday overtime because it is per contract. And if we're utilizing the salaries to pay for Nisqually, they're concerned that there won't be enough salaries then to pay for the overtime that is by contract. So that's, a valid concern. I mean, right now they do have the salary savings because of the jail. But if they settle that contract, I mean, that could potentially, increase their staffing and,
Then we shouldn't need that much of Nisqually. I think that's what Commissioner Trask was saying the last time.
Yeah, but then we could potentially need that budget in overtime, which again, at that point, we could just do an amendment to the budget.
That's what I understood the commission had said the last time. And I see Commissioner Trask shaking her head. Yes. Commissioner Schutte, are you still there with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where we're at.
Okay. The next thing that we had is the Office of Public Defense, and we had quite a discussion on, moving, we moved over 488,000 into the maintenance level because those contracts are
Already there.
currently what we're paying out. So I left those there in approved, and then we have the 2 requests for the positions that are outstanding. So if everybody's comfortable leaving that as is, we can move on.
Yeah, because we're looking at some other stuff with wages stuff, I think we may need to have that conversation a little bit further down the line. I'm not sure it's necessary today, as long as it's covered, the stuff that we've already agreed to, which it looks like you've already handled. Commissioner Schutte, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree.
Commissioner Trask?
Yep.
That's where we're at.
Okay. And then that's all that we have for the general fund. We've moved over the items for Superior Court and transfer out to Russellwood. So right now we're looking at, we've moved 939,576 into maintenance level. And these amounts are included in that maintenance level that I just presented this morning. And then we have 98,000 in special funds.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
Not for me.
Nope, not for me.
Not from me either, Jennifer. You did a great job as always.
Thank you. Let's go over to the special funds really quick. So we have just a couple of things. So in roads, they have 210,000. That's still sitting out as a PLR. Loretta said she's fine with leaving that out of the budget this year. So just wanted to.
Commissioners, are you fine with leaving it out?
I am.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, and then this 36,000 in election equipment fund 109, I got an answer from the auditor's office, and the 36,000 is based on revenue that they are expecting next year, an increase in revenue, and then the expense is to pay for Clear Ballot and Tritech. So some of that is already included in the maintenance level, but this is like the increase too.
Now, we don't show increases in revenue, so where's this revenue coming from?
So their total revenue request is, I think it was 81,000. And they've typically only budgeted like 40 to 45,000. And so
Uh-huh.
I left the 36,000 as a PLR because it looked odd to me. But Marie and Steve came down and talked to me about this, and they're comfortable with that revenue amount, and then the expenses, I left it as a PLR on the expense side as well.
Okay, so I'm looking at this here and it's saying something along the lines of some of it's going to come from election proceeds from other districts.
Yeah, that's the 15%. So the revenue that goes into Fund 109 is 15% of the election proceeds from other districts as well.
So do you think it's accurate that the revenue is coming in to meet this? I guess is my question.
I mean, they've received 60,000 through June of this year. So I really don't know. I expect that they know their operations and how much revenue they're going to bring in. And if they're estimating that they're going to bring in 81,000 next year, then I would trust that they know what they're talking about.
And with that, I'm supportive. Commissioner Trask.
Yeah, that's fine.
Commissioner Schutte.
I'm supportive as well.
Okay.
And if not, there's enough cash in the fund to,
So go ahead and change them to yes.
Okay. I think that was all that we had to talk about on the special funds. So that's all that I have right now. Thank you very much.
All right. Anybody have anything for Jennifer before she goes away?
Yeah, Jennifer, if you could just email us with the decision points that are outstanding so that if, anything that's a maybe or left open for decision, if we can get that instead of having to go back through everything that we've already agreed upon.
Yeah, I can do that.
To kind of narrow down our discussion for next week.
Okay. Sounds good.
And I just have one question before you go. The changing of that position in the auditor's office, that's an increase of how much again?
0.5 FTE.
No, the other one for the position change to a deputy. How much was the increase? Was it?
I'm calculating that it's approximately $8,500.
Okay, thank you.
At this point, that is always a moving target with the changes.
I got you. In my head, I'm blocking 10, so that's what I was thinking. All right. Thank you very much. What else you got, Mark?
That's it.
All right, that brings us back to our conversation about interviews. Commissioner Trask, you want to start off?
Sure. Sorry. I was trying to find the other applicant. But
would you like to wait? I don't want to pressure you on that. Would you like to wait till next week and you can look at the other application?
No, I think I would be comfortable moving Dean ahead. I think it's good that we have a balanced board. And so I was trying to find the other application. The only question I had was oh, that's for civil service. Never mind. Yeah, I just want to make sure that the board is balanced as far as their board members. And Dean might be that person to help balance.
Well, he'll add spice to the mix. There's no doubt about that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Don't take me wrong, because Kevin, where you at?
Yeah, so I was hoping that we would wait for the historic preservation interviews to see how those went and who all we have for those seats as well. My preference was to appoint the first person that we had interviewed for the library board. But if there's a clear majority the other way, that's
there is, but at the same time, Kevin, I always believe, and you know this, if you want more time, and that means we all should have more time to look at the options and we reweigh it. I know Commissioner Trask can't find that application, so I'm going to support your your belief to wait a week and do the other interview?
Commissioners,
Yeah,
Yes,
go ahead.
may I pop in real quick?
yes, please.
So we wouldn't be interviewing Dean for the Historic Preservation Commission with the appointment of Jan Goodpaster.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
that
Gotcha.
simplifies things.
Okay.
Can you
Yeah,
be supportive now?
What's that?
Can you be supportive of one now, or?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think either way, my preference was the first person that we interviewed, but I respect the majority decision.
Commissioner Trask, you still in the same mindset with everything knowing now?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, as am I. We'll move forward. Okay, what else you got, Mark? Anything else for us?
Just actually looking back through, I didn't understand it to be that way. So just let me get some clarification on the Preservation Commission. Because as I was reading the
Am I confused in my thought process also is that the Historic Commission, that those interviews are set up by planning?
The Historic Preservation Commission interviews would be set up through us. However, I believe only Jan Goodpaster's position was going to become open, and since she reapplied, we wouldn't have an open position.
And we agreed to reappoint.
Right. Okay, I'm still good.
Okay. All right, what else you got, Mark?
I don't have anything.
Are you sure? Because I'm looking at the list that Luke had in our packet today, and Jan has a vacancy that ends November 24. There's also another vacancy that ends in November 2024 that doesn't have a name associated with it. And then you have three more vacancies that have terms expiring November of 2025 and November of 2026. So I'm a little bit confused that there would be 5 potential openings, and appointing Jan to one of them would preclude us from entertaining anything on those other vacancies.
This is just what Luke and I spoke about. He had recommended postponing an interview with Jan Goodpaster's reappointment. I can always reach back out to him.
I was gonna say, I'm looking at 3 or 4 vacants on this list. That's
what I was also confused about that. So let's reach back out to Luke and see what that is.
I want to remind everybody the way the policy or the way the that has worked in the past is not that they can't serve on 2, but if you're already serving on one, a fresh person has more preference. So it's not precluded from serving on both. And if there's 4 openings, I think we need to be thankful for anybody we can get.
I'm always happy when somebody wants to apply for something.
So it wouldn't preclude anybody.
Yeah, I think we need to get a little bit more clarification on that.
Okay, are you requesting next week for a point for decision point?
Well, we wouldn't be voting on this until the 5th anyway, so let's maybe just figure out where we're at with our appointments and then move forward that way.
So it sounds like you're asking to wait on making this decision until next week, and I will agree with that because that's how we do things. We need to take the time we need to take. So with that, if somebody wouldn't mind sending me over a fresh copy of the first applicant also. So the decision point, we can let Dean know and the other person know will be made at next Monday's meeting.
Right, and the position for the library does not expire until the end of the year.
Yes.
But it would be good to have somebody get in there and start learning how to do things too.
Yep. Okay. What else you got, Mark?
That's it.
Okay, any commissioner discussion? Commissioner Schutte?
For me.
Commissioner Trask?
Yeah, today is the Wasatch virtual presentation, and this one is on county solid waste funding. So I would really encourage Richard or Loretta, maybe Richard and Loretta, I don't see them on here anymore, I sent them the information. So hopefully they'll get on there and watch that, because if there's funding out there, we should go for it.
Mark, take that as a request instead, or direction. Two commissioners are saying the same thing. This may be an opportunity. I don't care who they have on there, but they should have somebody pay attention to that. I agree with Commissioner Trask. Commissioner Shu, do you have any problem with us asking them to attend that?
As long as they're available.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, I will talk to them.
Thank you. Anything
I'll be
else?
on there.
Commissioner
I'll be on
Trask?
there regardless. So
Yeah.
if
Good.
whatever information I get, I'll make sure that they have it.
Okay. Anything further? I will entertain a motion.
Move that we adjourn.
Okay.
Hearing no objection, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.